Hi everyone, my name's Tim, and I'm going to read you a story called The Friend Who Forgives. It's a true story about how Peter failed and how Jesus forgave. It is written by Dan Jewett and is illustrated by Catalina Echeverri. A long time ago, there was a man named Peter. He was best friends with Jesus. Peter was a fisherman. He was strong and brave, but he often said the wrong thing. Do you ever talk before you think? Because that's what Peter did, again and again and again. Peter, he loved fish. In fact, one day, he and Jesus had fish for breakfast. Fish for breakfast? That's weird, but we'll save that part until the end of the story. One day, when Jesus first called Peter to follow him, can you guess what Peter was doing? That's right! Peter, he was fishing. Follow me, and I will make you a fisher of men, Jesus told him. Can you imagine that? Peter fishing for men? Jesus explained that just as Peter liked to search for fish, Jesus had come to search for people who need forgiveness. Peter loved being friends with Jesus. He saw Jesus do loads of amazing things. One time, Peter's mother-in-law was sick, and guess what? Jesus healed her. Another time, Peter was about to drown in a storm, and guess what? Jesus saved him. Slowly, Peter realized that Jesus was more than a friend. He was God. He would never let Peter down. But sometimes Peter would let Jesus down, like the time that Jesus explained to his friends that he had come to die on the cross, but that he would come back to life to offer forgiveness. He said, "All of you will run away. You're going to say that you are not my friends." Peter spoke up right away. He often did that. "I will never do that," Peter said. But Jesus told him, "Before the rooster crows in the morning, you will say 3 times that you are not my friend." I would never do that. Jesus is my best friend, Peter thought. When soldiers came to take Jesus to the cross, Peter pulled out his sword to stop them. "Put away your sword, Peter," Jesus said. "My Father says that this must happen." Jesus let the soldiers take him to a courtyard to stand trial. Peter followed from far away. "Aren't you one of Jesus' friends?" a young girl asked as she opened the gate for Peter to enter the courtyard. And what do you think Peter said? "No, I don't know Jesus." It was a cold night, so Peter walked over to the fire where some people were warming themselves. "Aren't you one of Jesus' friends?" someone asked Peter. And what do you think Peter said? "No, I don't know Jesus." Then someone else stepped forward and looked very closely at Peter. "Yes, you are one of Jesus' friends, aren't you?" he said. And what do you think Peter said? "No, I don't know Jesus." Right away, at that very moment, a rooster crowed. Jesus turned around and looked straight at Peter. Then Peter remembered that Jesus had said, "Before the rooster crows in the morning, you will say 3 times that you are not my friend." Peter was so sad. He knew he had failed Jesus again and again and again. He didn't just need to find people who needed forgiving. He needed forgiving too. Peter felt terrible. He ran out of the courtyard and he cried and cried and cried. Peter had let down his best friend. And now it was too late because the soldiers had taken Jesus away to be killed. But Peter, he didn't stay sad because Jesus didn't stay dead. 3 days later was the first ever Easter Sunday when Jesus came back to life to offer people forgiveness. But would he forgive Peter for failing him? One day, Jesus went out looking for Peter, and where do you think he found him? That's right! Peter and his friends were fishing! Jesus called to them from the beach, "Peter!" Peter jumped out the boat and into the water, and he rushed to the beach to see Jesus. And this is where Jesus and Peter had fish for breakfast. Fish for breakfast? That's weird. Peter was so happy to see Jesus alive, but would Jesus forgive him? Peter, he wasn't sure. Maybe Jesus wouldn't want to talk to him. Maybe Jesus doesn't want to be friends with him. But yes, Jesus did want to talk to Peter. And yes, Jesus did want to forgive Peter. And since Peter said that he didn't know Jesus 3 times, Jesus gave Peter the chance to say 3 times, "I love you, Jesus." And that's how Peter became a forgiven fisher of men. Peter spent the rest of his life telling people about his best friend Jesus. He told them that if they put their trust in Jesus, he would forgive them again and again and again. That's because Jesus was Peter's best friend, and he forgave him again and again and again. And if you trust in Jesus, he will forgive you too, again and again and again.